Hello everybody, good afternoon and welcome to the United Stand. Are you feeling Christmassy yet? I hope you are. Merry Christmas to you all. We're here with the latest Manchester United news. We're going to be talking Cody Gakpo. We're also going to be talking about the captaincy at Manchester United. I want to react to the Fred news. Also want to talk a little bit about the return of Varane and why he probably should be back already. And I want to delve into this Ronaldo chant that's causing a lot of people to be upset at the fact that certain sections of the United support against Burnley were singing anti-Ronaldo songs. What are your thoughts on that? We'll dive into it. But first of all, let's start off with the story about Cody Gakpo, that Gakpo's transfer to Manchester United could be days away. Numerous reports over the last couple of days. I'll take you back to what Alex Crook said on TalkSport a couple of days ago. Manchester United are very keen to get this deal done. I was told yesterday, actually, that unless something drastic happens, this could well be signed and sealed very soon. Now, look, I'm not here to shout out individual journalists on their information around Gakpo. I can tell you what I know and what we've known and talked about on here for quite a while. Manchester United are in negotiations with his agents. They were in negotiations in August. They didn't buy him. Gakpo wants to go. PSV will sell him. And they will sell him in January, and that Manchester United need a striker, and that he is the priority number one. So that's sort of where we are. How long is a piece of string as to how quick we will get this deal done? There is encouraging noises that Manchester United are trying to get it done quickly, and ultimately what it comes down to is the price. That's all that needs to be done here. The personal terms, you guarantee he's going to be happy with them. The move to Manchester United is what he wants. He wants to play under Erik ten Hag. From Cody Gakpo's side, he wants to play in the Premier League. He's excited about moving to Manchester United, and the reason he wants to play for Manchester United, apart from as being Manchester United, is that Erik ten Hag knows the Eredivisie, has brought Martinez over, he's brought Anthony over, he's brought Malacia over, and Cody Gakpo feels that not only is it super exciting to come and play for Manchester United, it's super exciting to come and play for Manchester United under Erik ten Hag with a Dutch coach who knows the Eredivisie and knows his game. So he's very open to coming to Manchester United. Obviously, Erik ten Hag wants him, and that leaves you with the openness of PSV to sale. But how much money have Manchester United got, and how are they going to negotiate this? If United walked in and offered what PSV wanted, this deal, he would be done by January the 1st. But if we don't have that money, it won't be done at all. And if we want to try and negotiate it, it could take weeks. Welcome to the Members Club. Jose, thank you very much. And says Lewis Bryant, thank you very much there. Interesting. Why would Glazers buy Gakpo when they're selling the club? I'm not going to go down that road, Abdullah, because if you haven't figured that out by now, it's just repetition. Any club, anybody who's selling anything, if it's a car on your drive, do you leave it muddy for people to come and look at, or do you wash it and clean the inside to get more value? It's the same principle as buying a player in January. Make Manchester. I mean, I didn't do the morning show because I've been in London recording something, and which you'll see tomorrow morning. And we were talking about the January transfer window, and I'll say it on here. You know, I said it on there, but then I'm getting the exclusive. I'll say it on here. The reality is, and Ladios likes the analogy. The reality is that we have got to be looking at that January. Everybody's looking at the January transfer window. I was asked whether Liverpool will get top four, and I said, well, it depends what they're doing in January. Will Spurs get top four? Depends what they're doing in January. Will Newcastle get top four? Depends what they're doing in January. Will Arsenal win the league? Depends what they're doing in January. Will Chelsea get into the top four race? Depends what they're doing in January. We're not in an exclusive club here. We've all got to do something in January, and the ones that don't, I feel they might miss out. So we've got to do something in January, and I think speed is of the essence here. But it sounds positive. I mean, I'm not going to sit here and say we're going to sign Cody Gakpo by the end of the month, but there is people in the know who believe that it's a distinct possibility because, and what I was told is that basically it's the fee. You don't need to worry about Gakpo. You don't need to worry about his agent. You don't need to worry about other clubs coming in and getting him. He wants to move to United. PSV are open to selling. United just need to agree a fee. And I mean, at the end of the day, do you want to agree a fee in the next 7 days before the end of the month? Or do you want to agree a fee in the next 5 weeks and do it at the end of January? And I think we all know that there's no excuse not to just get this done in the next week. PSV's first game is the 7th of January. I think they're playing Rotterdam. That's their first game back. Eredivisie obviously is a little bit later back. So you've got to be looking to go, we don't want Gakpo going back playing for PSV. I mean, imagine if he goes... I mean, we got away with it with Bruno, but I said it at the time. we negotiated all of January for Bruno, didn't we? And I was saying he's playing games for Porto. And I remember a couple of games he went down injured, and you're like, is it worth it to save 5 million? And at the end of the day, we paid a lot of money for Bruno anyway. So we negotiated all month and we still paid a high fee. Imagine if you think, well, let's negotiate all of January, might get £1 off. And then Gakpo, pulls his hamstring against Rotterdam and he's out for a month. He messed it up. If this is the player that Ten Hag wants and he wants to come to us, just go and get the deal done and then we move on. And it's really not that deep anyway, because the club's about to be sold and there's going to be a lot of money coming into the club. So at the end of the day, I would say this. What's the benefit of Richard Arnold or John Murtaugh or the Glazers taking all of January to sign Gakpo to maybe save 5 million when in March they're going to sell the club and make 5 billion? Like, it doesn't make any sense. It really doesn't. So I'm not going to sit here and say this deal's going to be done by the start of January, but there's a lot of people who feel that it will be. So and that is a matter of days, Cody Gakpo. And what I would say is, I'm not going to say that we're not going to get more twists and turns, but it does seem logically that this deal is the one that United are working on and moving forward on. Mark G, for social media director for United under new owners, get rid of the current Turbo Prats in charge, says Adam Locke. He'd be cup tied in the Europa League, which is another aspect to be considered, says Rory. So I think that's a great point, Rory. That is a great point. I don't know whether we can get any confirmation on that, but I would side with Rory on that. So normally, if we bought a player from who played in the Champions League, they can play in the Europa League, and vice versa. But if you've played in the Europa League, I don't think you can. That might be wrong, Rory. It might be that when they break off, you can still play in the Europa League. You might be right, you might be wrong. I'm not 100% sure on that. Hi, Mark. Because basically, if we bought Mason Mount, he could play for us in the Europa League because he played for Chelsea in the Champions League. And likewise, if Chelsea bought Delot, he could play for them in the Champions League because he played for us in the Europa League. So it seems a bit wrong that you can't play in the Europa League and the Europa League. Hi, Mark. Hope you have a great Christmas. Hypothetically, if you could sign one player with no restrictions or barriers, who would it be? Says Dan Blunt. What, right here, right now? God, I'd probably bring Osman in, I would go. I like Gakpo. I think he covers a number of positions, but I still think we need an out-and-out striker in the summer. So I'd bring that forward, probably. Is it just me, or did it feel like the Premier League was paused for longer than the summer break, says Raza? I know what you mean, yeah. And on a scale of 1 to 10, to Slow Sports News, how do you rate Gakpo if he came to United? Will he fill that spot, or will he be the level we need as a striker? I think he's Slow Sports News, I think that he is a player that Erik Ten Hag really wants, and I'm intrigued to see what he wants to do with him. I'm tired of reading people that he's not a striker, he's a winger. I mean, did you just have your head up your arse for the World Cup? He didn't play on the wing in the World Cup, so clearly he's not just a winger. And granted, he played behind the strikers almost as a 10, but he was very good from central, as we saw with the header he scored. So I think Gakpo can't be pigeonholed, and I think that's why Ten Hag likes him. How he would do, I was saying to someone this morning, the interesting thing about Gakpo is, and I saw somebody on Twitter today comparing him to Memphis, and that's why we shouldn't do the deal, because we bought someone from PSV who was a winger and he didn't do very well. I mean, oh my God. If you've had a Chinese takeaway from London, does that mean you shouldn't try one from Norwich? Because it's stupid theory. But, I do think that at some point Ten Hag's going to hit a dud. And what I mean by that is he will have a bad transfer. It's logical. It's the law of probability. You can't keep hitting with transfers. It'd be unprecedented to do that. So at some point he's going to buy someone and it's not going to work. But I'm intrigued if we get Gakpo, because for the money we're going to pay, he's got to go into the team. And then how does he fit him into the team? Because the front three really is Rashford, Martial, Anthony and Bruno in behind. So where does Gakpo go? That would be interesting, because I think when Ten Hag buys a player he wants, he normally puts him in the team. Hi Mark, hope you're well. Wondered if you had heard any thoughts on George Cohen's passing. I was listening to it on the radio, Joseph. So World Cup winner George Cohen died today, I think 83. Very sad news. And obviously a World Cup winner with England, which is a very rare thing, but very, very sad news on this, 23rd of December, and thoughts go out to his family and friends. Zayn Miassi says, Gakpo, go United, and Felix joining us. Edu gave hints, Arsenal are signing someone big. Christmas came early for us, says Zayn. You need to buy someone like that if you want to keep in the title race. Been watching you for years now, Mark. Love what you do. Do you think a centre forward and a right back will be enough for us to compete for the title, not just top four? No, Merrigan. I don't think that. I think what I would say is a centre forward and a right back in January gives us a chance at top four. If we don't get either, we won't get top 4. We're not in a title race. If you want to win a title race, you've got to give me 5 good players. I need a right back, I need a centre back, I need a midfielder, I need a winger, and I need a centre forward. And only then can we talk about titles. Hi Mark, I love the show. Which games are you most excited for in the next few weeks? You know what, Patrick? I'm genuinely excited to watch United at the moment. You know, Forest on Tuesday, Wolves away will be difficult on New Year's Eve. Bournemouth at home, you know, I'm looking at 9 points there that should put us into the top 4. Then you've got the quarter-final against Charlton that puts us in the semi-final of the Carabao Cup. You've got Man City, Everton in the Cup, FA Cup, Arsenal. There's not really a, you know, even the games that normally you maybe would have a bit of fatigue if we hadn't had the World Cup. The games against Bournemouth and Forest are interesting because, you know, 6 points. 6 points makes the league look a lot better for us. So I'm excited about all our games, to be fair. If we sell Fred for 30 million, couldn't we go and get Gakpo and Thuram? Says Michael Morris. I just want to comment on this very, very quickly. Thanks everyone who's tuning in. So I'm sure many of you watched the show this morning with Beth talking about this and this story that Manchester United may get a £30 million bid for Fred. No disrespect to where it might have come from, but it came from a stinky asshole, really, to be honest with you, because it's a load of shit. And I don't want to be vulgar, but it is. I'm not talking about Fred, I'm talking about the story. As if PSG are going to pay Manchester United £30 million for Fred, who is out of contract in a year. It just doesn't make any sense. PSG might want to take him for 15 million in the summer. They might wait a year to take him. But I mean, look, I'd love it. I think it's a great move for Fred. I'd applaud him off. You know, I'd say, well done, mate. But I don't see it happening. I really don't see it happening. I mean, is this Fred's agent trying to get United to give him a longer term contract? Look, PSG wants him. It's almost that ridiculous. It doesn't make any sense to me that PSG would want to give us money for Fred. And I'm not disrespecting Fred. I think arguably Fred this season has had one of the standout performances in a game individually. That game against Spurs at Old Trafford, he was superb. There's not been many individual game performances like that this season. But, you know, there's been loads of crap either side of it. Fred needs to go. I can see Fred playing for someone like Lyon or Everton. I can't see him going to PSG or Juventus or someone like that. But if we can get some money for him, 100% I'd do that deal. If we can get £15 million for him with 1 year left on his contract in the summer, let's do it. But Fred's an important player for us now. Between now and the end of the season, Fred's an important player. But yeah, I would be cashing in on the summer, but I don't believe for 1 minute that PSG are looking at him. Hello Mark, happy holidays. After Gakpo, would it just be a right back for January, or do you expect more signings? Well, thank you very much for the super chat, Omar. Welcome to the Members Club, Speedy. I think in relation to right back, Ten Hag mentioned a comment about Wan-Bissaka and his future, and he's going to have a good future. And I think some people took that he's going to have a good future at Manchester United. Unless there is a complete and utter massive change around, the situation with Wan-Bissaka is that Eric Ten Hag wants him to go, and Aaron Wan-Bissaka is accepting of that, and there are 3 or 4 Premier League clubs looking to take him on loan in January. Logically, I think United have to do that. I don't feel he's got a future at Manchester United. I don't think many people do. I wouldn't mind keeping him till the summer as the backup to Delot, because I think he's capable of being a backup to Delot, but he doesn't really want to do that himself, and it doesn't really enhance his value for a summer sale. If you are being logical, and I am going to be logical here, as much as I think Wan-Bissaka can be a good backup to Delot, there will be no value in Wan-Bissaka in the summer if he's just a backup to Delot for the rest of the season. If he goes to Wolves and plays every week and plays well, there will be value to sell him. And I think he's never going to be the long-term solution. So sometimes you've got to go, well, look, he would be a valuable member as a backup, but we've got to think about the value of him in the summer. And you could let Wan-Bissaka go and know that you could bring a right back in, or you could even use people like Malacia at right back, or bring Ethan Laird back, who maybe not as good as Wan-Bissaka at right back, but they're not far off as a backup. And I think we've got to start thinking like a business in a footballing sense, not like a brand sense. And I think it makes so much sense to get Wan-Bissaka back playing football to boost his value for the summer. We tried to do it with Martial at Sevilla last year. It didn't work. Who would you want us to understudy to De Gea? Does Henderson deserve a chance? Daniel Lee, Dean Henderson is the worst possible person to bring back as an understudy. He cannot do the job. He doesn't want to do the job. He spends most of his time moaning about how he should get more chances, and he's been disrespected because he's not number one at Man United. Whatever you think about Dean Henderson, and he's not a bad goalkeeper. I don't think he's a Man United goalkeeper. I don't think he's a Liverpool goalkeeper, an Arsenal goalkeeper. I think he's a mid-table goalkeeper. He cannot be the understudy. You either sell De Gea and give Dean Henderson the number 1 shirt, and I think that would be a huge mistake, or you sell Dean Henderson. He cannot come back as an understudy because he doesn't want to do it. He just moans all the time about not getting game time. So, the best understudy goalkeeper we've had in the last 10 years was Sergio Romero, who was professional when he got picked and was happy to do the job. That's what you want. Afternoon, Mark. Thanks for a great year on United Stand. Amazing to see how much this has grown, which with a great future ahead. Gakpo looks the most likely this window, says Tom. Thank you very much, Tom. Welcome to Members Club Revel. And Sancho situation, hopefully we get a tune out of him. Should he leave, however, do you think Eric Ten Hag, has a plan, or does it depend on the new owners? That was from Merrigan. Thank you very much for your super chat there. I think on Jadon Sancho, it's really interesting because I don't want to talk about it too much because I spoke about it yesterday. And I think Meslier from Leeds, he's proven he's young, says Ivy. I think it's hard to get people out of Leeds when you're Man United if you know about the rivalry. Not impossible, but hard. I think with Jadon Sancho, the way that Ten Hag just cut it dead after the match against Burnley and said there's no update, I sensed the frustration from Ten Hag. I might have misread the room, but I sensed the frustration. Now, is that a frustration because Jadon Sancho has frustrated him, or is it a frustration because he doesn't have him playing? Or is it just simply, I can't give any update because I don't have an update? And it could logically be the last one. All I'll say about Sancho is I don't think we're going to see him playing for Man United for quite a while. And, when you think about the fact that he didn't play for United 2 weeks before the World Cup, he didn't train with United over the World Cup, and he wasn't at the World Cup, and now we're back after the World Cup, and players from the World Cup are playing for United, and he's not playing. Whatever happens, he's missed a significant part of a season where he really needs to be playing. But we can't put that pressure on to United, Ten Hag or Sancho because we don't know the full picture. I think all anybody can say is it's frustrating, but empathy is important, isn't it? Until we get a clearer picture, there's no point speculating. I agree with Wilfred. We do need Sancho, and that in itself is... Mohammed, can I just say this? How can I be on Twitch when I'm live streaming on YouTube? You keep asking, and the answer is staring you in the face, quite literally. How can I be on Twitch when I'm on YouTube? I think in relation to Sancho, it's we do need him, but we're just going to have to be patient and wait and see. Dean Henderson reminds me of Jens Lehmann attitude without the talent, says Stephen. Well, sometimes goalkeepers are like that, aren't they? I'll tell you what caught my eye, though. I saw that Mbappe's back in training with PSG. Now, I just want to say this. How accurate is that? Is Mbappe back training with PSG? Because if he's back training with PSG yesterday, and he lost the World Cup final on Sunday, that is amazing. And I have to say, as much as I like Varane, get yourself back, mate. Because if he's back in training with PSG, remember Varane had a month off with a hamstring injury before. So it's a bit like Antony. I don't agree with them getting a week's break after the World Cup when they had a few weeks off before. Antony had a couple of weeks off before the World Cup, and Varane obviously was injured with a hamstring injury. We've got a game on Tuesday against Forest where we don't know whether Harry Maguire is going to be fit because he's ill. I would like to... If Mbappe is back, I think Varane should be back in training with Manchester United, but he wasn't back today. So, look, I'm a massive fan of Varane, and some people might disagree and say he's got every right to have a week off, and Ten Hag wants him to have a week off, and I get that. But it did sort of alert me when I saw Mbappe back in training at PSG, and I thought, you know what? That's a good attitude. We need that. We've got some big games coming up. Did you see Rafinha is leaving Barcelona in the summer, says Zane? I didn't, Zane, but I would imagine that Chelsea will probably go back in for him because they do like him. I don't see Rafinha coming to Manchester United. G-Man says they need a break. If Mbappe wants to come back to training, then more power to him. Well, why does he need a break? Why does Varane need a break? He missed the first game for France. He missed the month before that with a hamstring injury. Why does he need another break? I don't think he does. But I want players back. I want people focused on Manchester United. I was very impressed with Casemiro the other night. What a major loss that is, probably in his last World Cup, getting knocked out in the quarterfinals for Brazil. Big, determined performance, smile on his face at the start. Look, maybe I'm being a bit selfish, but I want United players thinking about United. The only player I would say I wouldn't rush back is Martinez, because he's having the time of his life, isn't he? He's won a World Cup and they're celebrating. But there you go. Daniel makes a good point though. Varane was ill, so maybe does just need a week. Yes, exactly. Good point. Good point. I'm not saying I'm right. I'm just offering up an opinion there, and obviously we don't have the full facts. There's been an appointment at Manchester United today. Many of you might have noticed it. Patrick Stewart, not from Star Trek. He has been at Man United for a number of years, and I think he's sort of involved in the legal side of Manchester United. So he's been appointed to the PLC board of Manchester United today. It's been announced by the club, and a lot of people have said, well, what does it mean? To which the answer is quite simply, nobody really knows. I mean, this is a guy that's very much involved in the legal side of things for Manchester United, so would probably be consulted on the sale of the club anyway. But that doesn't mean you've got to put him on the board. I don't really know. If anyone answers on a postcode, I don't know what that means. You know, why would you promote somebody to a board when you're going to sell the club? Because he could get sacked from the board straight away. It's news, but it's not news, if you know what I mean. Because we don't really know the context of it. You've got somebody who specialises in law on the board for Manchester United, who are about to sell the club. Does he need to be on the board to help sell the club? I don't know. Mark, I think Xhaka's resurgence shows he was always as good as Casemiro, says Zane. Xhaka will never be as good as Casemiro, mate. Xhaka's had a very good season, but you're talking about one of the best CDMs in the world in Casemiro, and that's not Xhaka. Xhaka's not better than Rodri, he's not better than Fabinho, and he's nowhere near Casemiro. Good player, but he ain't that level. And you know how I know that? Because if I said to any Arsenal fan, do you want to swap Xhaka for Kimmich or Rodri, you'd do it. I'd be back at work if I was getting 650k per week, says Tom Evans. I don't think anyone's getting 650k a week. And Carol says, Xhaka versus Casemiro, what comparison is this? I'll tell you what comparison it is. It's like a steak and chips compared to a piece of bread. That's what it is. Xhaka's just not that level. He's a good player. He's had a very good season at Arsenal and he's doing really well, but he ain't Casemiro. And he never will be. He never will be. I want to just talk quickly as well about the captaincy. A lot of comments coming out from around Bruno Fernandes about his leadership style, and he said, look, there's people in the dressing room who might be quiet on the pitch, but they're important. And it sort of sparked a debate on social media, but also in a few outlets, that Bruno Fernandes is the real captain of Manchester United. He's not. Harry Maguire is the captain of Manchester United. Whether people like it or not, he is the appointed captain of Manchester United. Now, when he was appointed captain by Ten Hag, and he said it at the time in late June, I think it was, he sees him as a first-choice centre-back and he is the captain. I don't think he is a first-choice centre-back anymore. That's not to say he couldn't win his place back. But I think when Maguire plays or when he comes off the bench, he will get the captaincy all the way and through till the summer. Now, PH says Maguire's not my captain. Well, he wouldn't be my captain either. But at the end of the day, I think in the middle of the season, we've got to respect the decision and respect Maguire. He's got enough things to solve without, having the captaincy stripped from him. But I think it's something that needs to be solved in the summer. I'm actually a firm believer that in a summer, you've got Martinez there for a year, you've got Casemiro there for a year. There are people that are capable of taking that captaincy. And I do wonder at some point whether Marcus Rashford might want it. Now, people might disagree with that, but, it might be logical to do that. But I think that the captaincy is never an issue as long as Maguire's not on the pitch. And I'm not saying that Maguire doesn't deserve to start for Man United, but I think the captaincy has not been a problem for this season. It's not even been spoken about because the team's been doing quite well and Bruno's had the armband on, but we've not really focused on it. I think when Maguire comes back into the team, it disrupts the fan base a bit because they're like, why is this guy leading this team that does well and he makes us play not the way we want to play? It's a bit of a contradiction, but I don't think it's something that Ten Hag's really going to be thinking about at the moment. And obviously it's not an issue if Maguire doesn't play. But I think next season it will need to change. Because if we go into another year, and I think we should buy a centre-back in the summer anyway, but if we go into another year with Harry Maguire as captain, you're sort of stuck in the past. I understood why he did it this year, but I think unless Maguire wins his place back and is going to be a first-teamer for United next year, I think it's time to take the captaincy and give it to somebody who's actually going to play every week. But I also agree with Bruno that it's not always about the armband. There's a lot of leaders in that team. Martinez, De Gea, Bruno himself, Casemiro, Eriksen. I mentioned even people like Rashford. There are a lot of leaders in that. And then you've got people like Luke Shaw and Dalot who they're not shrinking violets. So yeah, I think the team's in a good place, and I don't think we need to be changing the captaincy in the summer. Varane is another leader as well. Exactly, he is. But I agree with G-Man. We do need another centre back quickly in the summer, and I'm not going to labour this point, but ultimately Varane and Martinez get us playing in a certain way. If you take Varane off and you bring Lindelof on, or you take Maguire off and you bring Martinez off and you bring Maguire in, it's not the same. And we need centre backs like what Man City do. They can rest Stones and Diaz, play Laporte, Akanji, and they still play the same way. If we rested Martinez and Varane and play Maguire and Lindelof, we can't play the same way. So we need centre backs that are consistent with the way we want to play. Ben says, "Merry Christmas, Mark. Thanks for all your hard work and dedication this year." Says Ben, thank you very much. Actually, I'm just going to gift out 10 memberships. I meant to do that a minute ago and I forgot. So Merry Christmas, and I'm just going to gift out 10 memberships. Don't forget to watch the Christmas quiz, which is an exclusive members video. There's actually 3 quizzes now up exclusively for the members. You get your badge next to your name as well. There it is, gifted 10. But if you are a member, you get exclusive content each week, extra. This week's is a Christmas video in the studio with me, Beth, and Adam. So make sure you check that out for a bit of Christmas fun. You get one each week. You also get your badge next to your name, which changes each month. That's just a gifted 1 month for everyone who got it. If you want to stay a member, you'll have to renew it yourself. But remember, you can gift memberships if you want to, if you're a member. And Merry Christmas, and thank you for supporting the channel. Finally, I just want to talk about this Ronaldo chant from the game on Wednesday. Some people getting, pretty unhappy about it. Some people saying it's the right thing to do. So there was people at the ground on Wednesday against Burnley singing anti-Ronaldo chants. Now, for me, I don't like that. I think it's... I wouldn't like to hear songs about Rooney or Giggs or Gary Neville or David Beckham. And Ronaldo's definitely in that category as a legend of the club. Of course, it's been regrettable the last few weeks how it's been dealt with, but he is a legend of the club, and it would be really sad if. I hope it's just a now thing and it stops, because if it continues for years, Rooney at the end was quite frustrating. I wanted him to go. He fell off, but time obviously has been great for Rooney because he gets remembered for what he should be remembered for. And the same thing will happen with Ronaldo. So I really hope that we don't get anti-Ronaldo chants for years to come, because that's just not what United's all about. But on the other hand, he did frustrate a lot of people. And I never agreed with Fellaini being booed. Even though I didn't like Fellaini, I don't agree with the booing. But I also said people have got a right to do what they want, and then they pay the consequences, don't they? And, people have got every right to sing whatever song they want. And then, if they're comfortable with that, they're comfortable with that. It generates a conversation, doesn't it? I personally wouldn't do it. I'm sure a lot of you wouldn't do it. But I don't really have a problem with people doing it, because if that's how they feel and they want to sing like that and they're frustrated, it's up to them. That's what supporting a club's all about, isn't it? You can't... I'm a very big advocate that, you don't have to cheer everybody if you don't think that they... respect the shirt, whether it's the way they behave or whether the way they play. If McTominay has a bad game, what are we supposed to do? Just cheer about it? I think at the end of the day, you can't tell people what to do and what not to do when they're expressing their opinion about footballers in a way that's, certainly to do with that interview, isn't it? He did the interview. It's a public interview. You're going to get some people who react to it badly. Speaking of a centre-back, do you think Ten Hag will go back in for Timber? He could do, Stephen. I mean, logically, he could go back in for Timber. Obviously, having 2 centre-backs that are 5'10" might be an issue. You know who I like. I like Kim Min-jae. I like the option that's there in the June with the 45 million release clause, but there are other players out there. But, logically, same thing what we're doing with Gakpo. We wanted him in the summer. He's gone back for him in January. Maybe once Timber last summer goes back in for him. Maybe he doesn't go back in for him because he got Martinez. Hi, Mark. Thanks for the content and hard work at this channel. Hope you have a great Christmas. Thank you very much, mate. Well, we're back at 8 o'clock, so I'm not going to carry on for too much longer. But big shout out to everyone. Welcome to the Members Club if you got one of those. And thanks, everyone, for watching. Thoughts on the Carabao Cup draw, says Vias. Fantastic. Charlton at home into the semi-finals. It gives us 3 more games in January, which is going to be hectic. Adding 3 games to January if we beat Charlton. So Charlton will be 1 and then the 2 semi-finals. It's a lot, but I think with that draw at home, you've got to be looking to win the tournament now. So yeah, it's more games, but yeah, we've got to be looking to win that tournament. And we're going to have to beat Man City to do it, I think. But I would like to avoid. I'd like to see Man City, Newcastle in the semi-final, and then we get one of the other teams, but Forest or Wolves. But we'll see. Thanks everyone for watching. Take care. Back at 8 o'clock, and Merry Christmas to everyone. We've got content for you. I'm going to be live all the way up until. Well, I won't be live on Christmas Day, but we will be live tomorrow with you as well. So thanks everyone for watching, and I'll speak to you at 8.